You're listening to Rise Above, a Rogers Behavioral Health podcast, where we sit down with Rogers experts who are changing the way the world views mental health and addiction. Hello, listener. Welcome to another episode of Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. Now, I'm recording this episode right after my kids have returned to school from spring break. The days are getting longer. It's getting warmer out. We grilled out the other night. Things are good. But along with the warmer weather comes the endless barrage of quick fix diets, get ready for summer, how to lose that winter weight, all of the things you hear, getting ready for swimsuit season. It's a loaded phrase. And here to talk more about how problematic it can be is Kathryn Eddingsaas, a registered dietitian here at Rogers Behavioral Health. Kathryn, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
So before we get into it, a little background about yourself.
Sure. I am a registered dietitian. Like you said, I work primarily in the eating disorder facility. I've also worked in other general mental health with OCD population, substance abuses, and so on. However, eating disorders is sort of, my favorite or my sort of where I've landed in my career so far. And then otherwise, I primarily work with child and adolescent populations, but I do also work pretty frequently with adults and older adults as well.
So swimsuit season, it is, I
Yeah.
feel like it's just a loaded phrase in and of itself. How would you describe swimsuit season?
That's what I have to say about swimsuit season is just like you said, it's a loaded topic and I have a lot to say on this topic. So I'm really happy that you invited me to be here. I think the biggest thing that frustrates me is it's one of those things kind of like the new year, new me thought process, right? Like, oh, swimsuit season. Now's my time to change everything and to try to, switch up everything, right? And in my mind, like what I've picked up over time is that's just a scam, right? Like that's just what these companies and social media wants us to think so that we're like, oh, well, what can help us meet our goals, right? What can we buy to feel better or look better or, that kind of thought process.
So from your perspective, what does this time of year trigger for young people, old people, all people?
Yeah. It really sets this false standard right off the bat that you need to look some type of way to be able to fit in a community, in a swimsuit, right? Whether it's a pool or a beach. And it really shames the diversity and looking different and having natural bodies and natural curves, and it's not just women either, it's men as well, and it's really been exacerbated since social media has become so popular.
How does that seasonal focus on appearance influence people's body image and their self-esteem?
The biggest thing I'd say is people feel like they need to fit into a certain standard, right? Like they feel like whatever they're doing isn't good enough, and that's where people start to try to spend a lot of time changing themselves and looking for the quick fix, which is something that really is challenging to work through because real sustainable change takes time.
Hmm.
And social media is just like weight loss, weight loss, weight loss for everything. And it really can be harmful for many of the population, especially the people using social media most often, which are, younger adolescents, regular adolescents, older adults, whatever it is, but particularly the growing population of children and adolescents. They have developing bodies. They are literally growing. Their brain is still developing, their bones are getting stronger. And so when you tell a child or an adolescent that they need to lose weight or they need to look a certain way, you are preventing that full growth and development. You are preventing their chance at their optimal life.
Mm-hmm. So is the quote unquote swimsuit season how eating disorders begin?
I think it's one trend of many that contribute. That's certainly not the only trend, but it's a very great example of something that seems relatively harmless, right? Like it's just sort of this like idea, like it's sort of disguised as motivational. And
Mm.
same thing to the new year, new me, right? People think it's really helpful, but the impact, big picture, really can increase disordered eating patterns. So whether that's restricting to try to lose weight or, even more severe, like purging to try to lose weight or self-induced vomiting. Um, and then like that discipline side of things where people are like, I need to go to the gym every single day to try to
Mm.
get this swimsuit body. And what they're forgetting is there's no such thing as a swimsuit body, right? That's why swimsuits have all different sizes and it's the same thing. We don't need to change to fit into something.
Every body with a swimsuit on is a swimsuit body.
Right, exactly.
And we will be right back. Everyone deserves a chance for recovery. That's what drives Rogers Behavioral Health Foundation. They're helping people get the mental health care they need, from covering treatment costs for those in need, to building clinics where care is hard to find, to funding cutting edge research. They're making real change happen. And guess what? You can help. Head to rogersbhfoundation.org and be part of creating a future where mental health and wellness thrive. And now back to the interview. How can someone differentiate between like unhealthy dieting and just healthy habits?
That's a good question, and it's challenging because, diet culture, and I quote, like clean eating, right,
Mm.
is really disguised as wellness culture these days. And I think the biggest thing that differentiates, the disordered mindset or a like diet culture mindset from a real sustainable wellness mindset is the timeline of it, I guess, like the quick fix
Mm.
mentality. People think, well, it's swimsuit season, so now I have to eat less and move more for the next 2 months so that I can look some type of way. And in reality, our bodies are gonna fight back, right? We've evolved into humans where our bodies don't really know the difference between, oh, I'm just dieting for a little bit versus I'm starving and I could legitimately be, running out of food and in danger. So real wellness comes from the small changes over time, right? Like the small mentality shifts. And I always like to say it doesn't come from restricting things like taking out food groups or something like that. It's more so from like adding in more nutritious options more frequently, right? Like adding in more fruits and vegetables,
Mm.
drinking more water, things like that, versus we don't want you to cut out carbs. We don't want you to cut out fats because that's that restrictive mentality.
So when I was doing research for this topic, the term weight cycling came up. Can you, and yo-yo dieting and things like that. Can you explain what that is?
Absolutely. Yo-yo dieting is more of like the diet culture term, but it
Mhm.
really represents, well, it kind of turns into or results in weight cycling. And so I'm going to speak to both points.
Sure.
Yo-yo dieting is basically on and off dieting where someone, tries some detox or tries some new diet that they hear about, and then it's either unsustainable or they're not seeing the results they want. So then they stop that and end up trying something completely different and completely new. That is the theory behind yo-yo dieting. And what this does long term is creates this weight cycling, which is kind of described as when you start a diet, some people will see an initial weight drop because, end of the day, if you're eating a lot less, your body is going to probably initially lose a little bit of weight. Now, that's where people get frustrated because it's like I said earlier, your body is going to fight back. And if you lose weight too quickly, either your body is going to slow down functions like your metabolism and your digestion in order to prevent further weight loss. Or you're going to realize that whatever you're doing, whether it's restricting or compulsively exercising, is not sustainable and you're going to stop. And either option results in usually that weight gain coming back. In fact, there's evidence that 95% of people who diet end up regaining the weight after they diet. And so that's sort of the definition of the two. And I also want to speak to the impact of weight cycling, longer term, because people don't realize the actual harm that it can do to the body. It over time can really take a toll on your organs, because if you're losing weight and then gaining weight and then losing weight, you're not just losing fat, you're also toying with your organ muscles and all the tissues inside of you. And it's overall proven to be less healthy or less beneficial than simply just maintaining that higher weight, that slightly, higher weight versus doing the dieting and then going back and forth.
And we will be right back. Real quick, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about WISE, the Initiative for Stigma Elimination. It unites people across the nation to support those touched by mental illness and addiction. The compassionate approach champions personal stories and powerful connections, fostering healing by reducing stigma through evidence-based practices. Rogers Behavioral Health supports the work of WISE through their Community Learning and Engagement Department. WISE collaborates with a diverse network of organizations and individuals united in the fight against stigma. You can learn more about WISE, explore their 4 key programs, and connect with them by visiting the website www.eliminatestigma.org. And now back to the interview. So I feel like in this day and age, a lot of this pressure comes from social media and from marketing. And I guess, what red flags should someone look for when they encounter something on social media about like a magical diet or, hey, in 30 days, you can be ready for summer?
Yes, you said it. Honestly, the whole magic mentality, the whole let's do this for 30 days to see results, that's the problem, right? Like that's what leads into this mentality that I have to give it my all and then ends up not being sustainable. So other like red flags are going to be things like look like a model or like do this program and lose half of your weight or whatever it is. Realistically, it could be any verbiage, but you don't often go online and see the green flags, which are let's work towards sustainable, lasting health, right? Like how
Right.
rare is that? And that's the difference between, evidence-based nutrition, education, and change versus influencers who are trying to get views or trying to give people what they want without really thinking about the bigger picture.
So you kind of touched on it, but what advice would you give someone who's looking to perhaps get healthier, but in a sustainable, healthy way? What type of advice would you give them?
The biggest thing is, like I sort of touched on before, is starting small and adding in more nutritious and wholesome options, right? Like, and it's not just with food. So let me kind of
Yeah,
clarify.
yeah,
Yes, adding in more fruits and vegetables and fluids and those kinds of things, whole grains, right? But also thinking about small changes. If you're used to sleeping 6 hours a night, aim for 7. And
yeah.
that's just 1 hour extra every night. If you're used to taking a 15-minute walk, try to take a 25-minute walk. It doesn't even have to be every day, but those minor changes that are sustainable are what actually help keep lasting change over time. And then the other aspect that I would touch on is, really, I'm sure you've heard in some sense, like environment matters for mental health, right? Like your environment can impact your mood. So with social media being such a big part of this topic, I think it's important to recognize that just as much as there's red flags and these sort of diet culture scams going on, there's this growing presence of body neutral and body positive people out in the world
Yeah.
because so many people have been affected by it, right?
Mhm.
And so do the work that you need to do to find your community, right? Find those new people who are encouraging your diversity and your uniqueness and the sustainability. Because if you can change your feed, it will be a lot easier to change your habits.
Sure. And then when it comes to kids, how can we talk about food and our bodies more responsibly around them?
Similar to how you would, change your own mindset or how we want to talk to ourselves, right? It can be a shift for anybody, but kids do pay attention to what their peers say and also what their parents say. So a big part of it is changing your own mindset and trying to treat yourself with more respect. And if it's not, if they're asking questions and they want some definitive, answers, teaching them that health and wellness and beauty isn't based on a number. It's not the number on the scale, it's not a number of calories, and it's not a number of steps you take in a day, right? It's this huge big picture that includes a lot more than just physical wellness. Are you taking care of your mind? Are you taking care of your social life, right? And if they sort of learn to think big picture, hopefully they can find value in areas outside of the numbers or how people encourage the numbers online.
So if you could give listeners like one takeaway from this whole conversation about navigating swimsuit season and the pressure to look healthy this summer, what would it be?
To go in a new fun route, I think it would be don't don't compare yourself to others and
Hmm.
don't compare yourself to yourself. And when I say that, I mean don't compare yourself to your younger self. Okay?
Mm,
Like a lot of people are frustrated because they can't achieve this body shape that maybe they had when they were younger or when they were in high school. But that's life, right? People are made to change. People are made to, develop and overall the body's going to change. So that's my biggest tip is stop comparing with other people, stop comparing with yourself and start focusing on in the moment, enjoying the weather, enjoying the company, and creating a moment to remember.
Well, speaking of the weather, I appreciate the conversation. It is really nice out, so I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy the weather yourself and come back again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Again, I appreciate the topics and everything you also bring to the table.
Far too kind. All right, thank you so much. Well, listener, as we wrap up, I hope this conversation is a reminder that this time of year doesn't have to be about pressure or perfection. It can really just be about checking in with yourself, taking care of your body in ways that feel realistic, and letting go of comparisons that just don't help. And as the weather warms up and life gets busy with summer activities, I hope you take this one small takeaway from today, and that is that you're allowed to feel good in your body right now just the way it is. Go out, have fun, go swimming. Who cares? Inevitably, you are going to be your own harshest critic. So give yourself a little grace. And with that, I want to thank you for listening to another episode of Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. Be sure to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. And as always, if you or someone you care about is struggling with a mental health or substance use disorder, visit rogersbh.org for a free mental health screening. Until next time, thanks for listening.